Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me. So, the internet is on, I'm caffeinated, and guys, if you've not done so already, can you please hit that subscribe button and like and share our posts? Really helps us out when you do that, guys, alright? It's just a little click for you guys, but it means a lot to us. So, where do we start today, guys? Alright, machine gun attacks in the UK. I've been saying this, and again, I'm going to go from an article from the Guardian. I've been saying this for the longest time. The UK is, there's a high likelihood, and go back through my videos, guys. I've been saying this months. There's a high likelihood of the UK coming under an active shooter attack, and there is absolutely no way that the UK police can deal with this. Now, it came out yesterday in mainstream media that there's been an attack foiled in Manchester. What does that mean? Well, basically it means there's an attack foiled, and these guys were, they were trying to commit an attack. They've been foiled at the last hurdle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you how I believe this was foiled. I'm going to tell you some of the training that I may believe that these guys have had. I'm going to make a connection here about Manchester, and I don't know what it is, but I'll let you know afterwards. Well, sorry, I'll explain why I think it is, and again, it's just me speculating. And then I'm going to say how in the future, we're going to have no way of stopping these attacks. So, first of all, guys, the article from Manchester. Men accused of plot to attack Jews with machine guns in northwest England. Walid Sadoui, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, and Ammar Hussain appeared in court charged with preparing acts of terrorism. So basically, these two guys, and there's a third guy that I can't find what he's been charged with. But basically, these two guys have been charged with trying to acquire a machine guns to do an attack on, the Jewish population in that region. They were going to have, ramming vehicles, and then they were going to attack police and military targets. So, again, not a small attack, but now, I don't know what they actually mean by machine guns. Now, do they mean assault rifles with automatic fire that are probably smuggled in from Eastern Europe? Or do they actually mean belt-fed machine guns? Because they're two different aspects. If it's the belt-fed type, then, guys, this opens up a whole new area of, potential, conflict, terror attacks, warfare, whatever you want to call it. Now, let's think about Manchester. Manchester recently had another attack, the Manchester bombing, where I believe it was, a refugee that was rescued, I think, by the Royal Navy, and then, they blew themselves up, and, it was disgusting. How did Manchester react? They sang "Don't Look Back in Anger." I don't know how, Manchester would react if there was an active shooter. Again, I don't know, maybe Wonderwall or something. So here you see in real time these plots hatching and these plots being foiled. Now, as I understand it, the only way really to foil these attacks is by, surveillance, hacking people's phones, hacking people's internet, their Wi-Fi, all that sort of stuff, and having that communications network where you can see what's happening. This is going to become very difficult to identify and to stop if, for example, people are coming straight off the boats with these weapons, they're in possession of the weapons already, they know a time they're going to commit an attack, they know a place, and they're already orchestrated, because there'll be no communications between them. There'll be no information that the government, the intelligence services can listen into. There'll be no information or payments or networks they can develop. They'll be sat there in their hotels potentially now thinking, right, I've got my weapons, I've got them hidden on this date at this time, we're going to do this attack, and that's it. That's how we're going to roll, okay? That will be virtually impossible to stop. Now, Manchester's really interesting because there was I don't know if it still happens or not, but there was a direct flight to, I don't know if it still happens again. There was a direct flight to Kurdistan, Erbil, sorry. There used to be a direct flight, I think, 2 a week to Erbil, which is, in part of Kurdistan. Now, Erbil is just a short, in Iraq, sorry, northern Iraq, Erbil is just a short drive to places like Mosul, Syria, and you can travel to these places absolutely undocumented. You know, you don't have to have any passport stamps, go through any visa control. Obviously, getting off at Erbil, you do. Now, is it beyond the realms of possibility that some of these people from Manchester, and this is why, guys, and I'm just speculating, that they could have used these flights, these direct flights into Erbil, then got a truck, a van, whatever, friends and family in that region, drove down to Mosul, drove down to, up to Syria, could have had training on these weapon systems, could have had tactical training, potentially by, US military, British military, who are training people in that area. I don't know, I'm just speculating. Then they come back to the UK, they're trained, they know how to use these weapon systems, and then they can plan these, absolutely terrible attacks. Be under no illusion, guys, all right? If somebody starts firing automatic fire, especially by a belt-fed weapon on the streets of the UK, the police, even the armed police, are going to run for cover. You're going to see these big doormen who, strut around in their stab vests with their little SIA badges on. They're going to go from hero to zero in less than a second, all right? That's the reality of the situation. And everybody's just going to be left to fend for themselves until the military get in there. And that's going to take time. That's going to take hours and hours and hours to get those military in there. And I know what everybody's saying. Yes, they are on, like 30 minutes notice to move. But what happens then when there's multiple attacks in multiple locations in the country? These forces are going to be spread so thin, and that's, that is the real threat as we're moving forwards now. That's the real threat now, the multiple attacks on multiple fronts in the UK, because the first attack will obviously, that will have the more resources ploughed into it. It will have it will have basically all your senior commanders, all your experienced guys, they will go to the first attack. They'll be committed on that first attack. Then once a second attack opens up, potentially bigger, we don't know, then those guys are already committed, so they're going to send somebody else there. Right, that's fine. And I think realistically, the military could field maybe 3 or 4 counter-terrorism teams. After that, it would be, you would be struggling then to contain everything. Then, what would happen? I don't know. I think then you'd be looking at a containment rather than, neutralization. Look what happened in Paris with the Charlie Hebdo incident. When you had 2 guys with automatic rifles who knew how to use them, it closed Paris down. Paris was closed. There was no one going in or out of Paris. It took, I think they had to find them days or maybe weeks later. If this happens in the UK, and don't forget, there's a lot of weapon systems now, and I mean explosive weapon systems that could be smuggled in from Eastern Europe. Think about these, no longer do people have to build these vests, what they build, or these backpacks. You can just bring, you can bring this ordnance in now on the boats, as these illegal immigrants. And I said it in yesterday's video. Go and speak to the people who live in Dover, who live in what have you got? You've got Dover. Well, you've kind of got Folkestone. Well, not really Folkestone. You've got Dover, Deal. I guess that's the area where they're landing mostly. Look at the people who live there, and they tell you all the time, they're like, yeah, lots of boats come and they just land and they run off, and taxis are there, or cars are there waiting to pick them up. These are people coming into the country. We've no idea who they are. We've no idea what they're carrying on them. And, I don't know what they're bringing in, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility that they're bringing in these systems. Now, I don't know who's funding them. I don't know what intentions they've got, but that's the reality. The reality is we just don't know. And you've seen it now, and I'll put the link to this, guys, in the description. You've seen it now. People are actively planning active shooter attacks in the UK. And this is the one that's been foiled. How many more are being planned that we just don't know of yet? How many more do we just not know of? Because remember what I said earlier. If there's no communications, no talking to each other, these people, Walid Sadawi and Ahmar Hussein, they tried to acquire the weapons while they were in the UK. If people are coming over here and they've already got them weapons, they don't need to acquire them from anyone. They don't need to put that out. They don't need, and then the intelligence services won't be alerted of this because they won't know that they're there. They won't know that they're asking for weapons because they've already got them. you know, and there would be no electronic trace, because they would already know what they're going to do, where they're going to do it, and that's the reality, guys. All right, that's the reality of the situation. So yeah, so that's where we are today, guys. I'll be doing another update later on today. I may even do another 2 videos, because there's a lot happening in Ukraine at the moment. There's a lot happening all over the world, and yeah, I'm just going to keep you guys informed. So take it easy, guys. Have a great day, and look forward to speaking to you again.